So I just want to say this. First and foremost, there's no shame, no embarrassment in getting packed out, getting beat up. As long as you fight, you're respected. Now, did King fight? We don't know. I'm going to tell you my personal opinion about T.I.'s son, King. I think that young brother is a pure bitch, okay?
I don't have no gang. I ain't in no gang. I got family. I got who willing to risk their lives and freedom to die by me and mine. You hear me? Well, don't play with me, man. Don't play with my child, ever.
Never play with my mother's child, ever. That line hits different now because King Harris just hit rock bottom, and it's worse than anyone could have imagined. His father, T.I., tried to warn him for years that the streets don't play fair, but King didn't listen. He thought fame and money made him untouchable, walking around like his last name was a shield made of gold. But reality just smacked him hard. That same kid who once flashed his chains, bragged about his name, and ran around like he owned the city is now sitting behind cold metal bars. No cameras, no spotlight, no hype, just walls closing in on him every night. Sources say King's been begging for help after crossing the wrong crew inside, and it's gotten real ugly. All that tough talk, gone. All that fame, useless now. Behind those walls, nobody cares who your daddy is, and King's learning that lesson the hard way. His pride's been stripped, his freedom's gone, and he's realizing too late that the same fame he used to flex can't save him now. This wasn't just some random prison scuffle. This was a setup with intent. Insiders are saying those inmates didn't roll up just to throw hands. They came with a message. Word is certain gangs inside had already marked King Harris, not to rough him up, but to end him for good. That's a whole different level of danger, and he never saw it coming. Picture this, a kid who once strutted around like he ran Atlanta, now pacing back and forth in a freezing cell, every footstep echoing like a countdown. The sound of that metal door slamming behind him must have felt like fate closing in, reminding him this ain't no music video, this is real life. You can practically see the fear creeping in, his old bravado leaking out with every second that passes. The same mouth that used to talk big is now silent, and his confidence, that once inflated ego, is deflating fast, like air hissing out of a popped balloon. Every breath in that cell probably feels heavier than the last, as reality settles in that he's no longer the one in control. According to insiders, that was the moment King Harris completely broke down. No more fronting, no more flexing. They say he grabbed the prison phone with shaky hands and called his father, T.I., out of pure panic. Imagine that. The same kid who just months ago was all over social media, flashing stacks, showing off guns, and clowning anyone who dared to call him soft. He swore he was built for this life until those cold cell doors clanged shut. Once that lock clicked, everything changed. All that internet energy, gone in a flash. There's no Wi-Fi behind bars, no cameras to pose for, no fans cheering him on. Just dead silence and the hard stares of men who've seen way worse than him. Those eyes don't blink, don't care, and definitely don't respect fame. Inside, nobody gives a damn who your daddy is or what your last name sounds like on a track. Fame don't feed you there, and it sure doesn't protect you. No luxury beds, no designer clothes, no fancy dinners, just cold metal, hard time, and the harsh truth that this ain't no game. Word is that's when King realized his downfall wasn't some sudden twist. It was building up all along, one bad choice at a time. It all started with one dumb move, cracking jokes at the wrong crew. King Harris thought he could clown around with the older inmates like he was still shooting content for social media. But this wasn't no viral stunt or wild Waffle House brawl.
So what I'm saying is, they wasn't.
You can talk like that outside.
Hey, I can talk how the fuck I want to, wherever I'm at. I'm on live, shawty. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. This ain't your fucking restaurant. This ain't your fucking restaurant. Everything you make, I can pull out my pocket right now. I ain't tripping on you. I ain't tripping. Get the hell out of my face. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Who the hell is he? What's your name? My name King. You know it and your mama know it. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. File your shit.
Come back.
What? On game what? On game what? Come here. Come here. I'll show you what I do. Come here. I'll show you what I do. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on, we out here. We out here. I'm outside. I'm outside. Come on, shake some. Come on, shake some. Come on, shake some. Hey, get your employees. Get your employees. Yeah, fucking something in this. Tell your mama happy mother. And you still talking inside though. You still talking inside though. Why you inside? Can't stop me from doing shit. I'm doing shit. Let me get my food. Thank you. Just talking like they like that, they ain't like that. Before I get back here and pistol with them. Fuck.
There were no cameras, no fans laughing in the background, no one shouting, "Go live!" Just that eerie silence that hits different inside those walls. The sound of his voice echoed down the hallway, bouncing off cold concrete, while real convicts just stared, eyes sharp, emotionless, calculating every word that came out of his mouth. He wasn't surrounded by followers anymore. He was surrounded by men who survived years of pain and didn't find anything funny about a spoiled rich kid trying to act tough. And then it happened. The second word spread that the loudmouth kid was actually T.I.'s son. The whole vibe changed instantly. The air got so heavy you could feel it pressing on your chest. The energy in that place turned deadly, like something was about to snap at any second. From that moment on, King wasn't just another inmate trying to fit in. He became a walking target, a name with value, and every move he made had eyes on it. Some of those inmates saw King Harris as their golden ticket, a chance to earn stripes by breaking him down piece by piece. Others, they had real grudges against T1's whole legacy, carrying years of bitterness toward what they saw as fake street fame. And then there were a few who just wanted to humble hip-hop royalty once and for all, to prove that money, music, and fame don't mean a thing behind those bars. Out of his depth and scared out of his mind, King reportedly bolted straight to the jail phone, desperate for help. Witnesses say his hands were trembling so bad he could barely punch in the numbers. His voice cracked with panic as he begged to reach his father, pleading for someone, anyone, to answer. And when he finally got through, those on the other end say his tone was haunting, half angry, half broken. Between shaky breaths, King muttered, "Clifford, T.I. Harris. Wait till I get back and see him." You could hear the pain and confusion spilling out in that one call, a mix of fear, regret, and disbelief that all his bravado had led him here, face to face with the harsh reality he thought he could handle. That fearless tone King Harris used to brag with, gone, completely wiped out. What came out of his mouth this time wasn't swagger or pride. It was pure, unfiltered fear, the kind that shakes your voice, tightens your chest, and makes even the toughest man sound like a kid again. You can't fake that type of fear, no matter how hard you try. For the very first time, King finally felt what his father had been warning him about for years. Ty always told him, fame don't buy safety. But those were just words to King until now. Locked behind those cold, unforgiving bars, that truth hit harder than any punch he'd ever taken. All that talk about legacy, fame, and being untouchable vanished in an instant. Inside those walls, none of that matters. Not your name, not your followers, not your father's reputation. King's realizing that fast that behind those bars, there's no spotlight, no stage, no escape, just consequences. And this time, there's no one who can save him but himself. But to really understand how everything went downhill, we gotta rewind to October 2024. This whole mess didn't start with a wild gang shootout or a dramatic chase through Atlanta. Nah, it began somewhere calm, clean, and quiet. The suburbs, just a few miles away from the world of luxury King Harris grew up in. Picture it, King cruising out of a gas station in his glossy black BMW, music blasting loud enough to shake the windows, confidence through the roof. His head was high, his ego even higher, thinking he was untouchable behind that tinted glass. But in one careless second, everything changed. He almost sideswiped a police cruiser. That's when the flashing red and blue lights lit up behind him like a bad omen, screaming, "Game over!" When officers walked up to the car, the smell of weed hit them before they even reached the window. And right there in plain sight, they spotted weapons sitting inside like props in a bad movie. No hiding, no excuses, everything was right there. The cops ran his name, and boom, a bench warrant popped up from old charges he thought had disappeared. In just a few seconds, the flashy BMW turned into a cage on wheels, and King realized too late that one reckless move just cost him everything. He thought he could just ignore that old warrant like it was nothing, but reality doesn't play like that. Within seconds, the son of a trap legend was face down on the pavement, hands cuffed tight behind his back, while flashing cameras surrounded him from every angle. The moment hit fast and hard. 1 second he was living large, and the next he was the headline of the day. TMZ wasted no time. His mugshot was everywhere, splashed across blogs, timelines, and gossip pages before he even made it to the station. The clip went viral instantly, showing King Harris in cuffs, his face caught between shock and disbelief. Some said he looked half stunned, half smug, like part of him still thought this was all just some misunderstanding that fame could fix. But this wasn't some music video or a bad prank. Those cold, heavy steel bars waiting for him weren't props. They were real, and they were about to become his new reality. The same world that once hyped him up was now watching him fall, and there was no pause button this time. Here's the million-dollar question. If you were T.I., would you rush to save your son again or finally let him face the chaos he created? Because this wasn't just another celebrity arrest. This was a generational showdown. A father's lifelong warning colliding headfirst with his son's pride, all while the world watched like it was a live reality show. At first glance, the footage almost seemed funny, like King still didn't grasp how deep in trouble he really was. Cameras caught him staying calm, cool, and collected, almost too collected, like he'd rehearsed every move in the mirror. No panic, no stuttering, just that same cocky confidence he wore like armor. When officers asked about the weapons in the car, he didn't flinch for a second. "You're gonna find my guns," he said, cool as ice, like he was talking about snacks in the glove box instead of loaded firearms. That moment left everyone stunned. The internet exploded with mixed reactions. Some called him fearless, others called him foolish. But one thing was clear. King wasn't acting like a scared kid in cuffs. He was acting like a man who thought he still had control. And that might have been his biggest mistake yet. But by sunrise, everything flipped on its head. The story took a wild turn. Charges were softened. And just like that, King Harris walked out a free man once again. Another celebrity arrest turned into another nothing to see here moment. Just another night in the system, right? Wrong. Because this time, the fallout hit different. Every major outlet had the same headline screaming across the screen. T.I.'s son arrested with guns and weed. The gossip blogs went crazy, spinning the story in every direction. Social media was on fire, memes flying, fans debating whether King was misunderstood or just reckless. But the irony, it was painful to watch. The same kid born into money, fame, and opportunity was chasing the same trap life his father spent decades trying to escape. That's what really cut deep. Not just for T.I., but for anyone who's ever seen their child walk the same dangerous road they worked so hard to avoid. For T.I., this wasn't about bad press. It was about heartbreak. The world finally saw what he'd feared for years. King wasn't just acting out for attention. He was racing toward disaster, full speed ahead. And even though the legal mess cleared up fast, the damage to his name and his family's legacy was already done. But then came the cultural storm that blew up overnight. The moment that body cam footage leaked online, boom, the internet lost its mind. Within hours, King Harris went from trending to full-on viral, becoming a living meme. A rich kid trying way too hard to earn street cred he never had. Fans roasted him without mercy. Haters dragged him across every platform, and the streets started whispering something way darker. That King didn't just spend one quiet night in holding. He ran into real trouble inside. That rumor alone changed everything. Suddenly, it wasn't just a story about embarrassment, it was a story about survival. Because behind those bars, fame doesn't matter, and money can't buy respect. There's only one currency that counts: respect. And if you spend it wrong, you're broke instantly. King found that out the hard way, facing men who couldn't care less about his last name or who his father was. He grew up in comfort, surrounded by luxury, but he was chasing danger like it proved something. And now, the world was watching him realize the game he tried to play wasn't built for him. Inside, there's no cameras, no comments, no filters, just the raw, unforgiving truth of whether you can stand on your own or not. When King Harris first walked in, insiders say he came in loud, cocky, and dripping with that same online bravado he always flashed on social media. But here's the thing, jail ain't Instagram, And the people inside sure ain't comment section trolls you can clap back at with memes. These weren't haters behind keyboards. These were real ones. Hardened lifers, hustlers, men who'd already lost everything and had nothing left to fear. And word is, King just couldn't keep quiet. He was cracking jokes, running his mouth, maybe even name-dropping his father like that was gonna earn him some kind of pass. Big mistake. Behind those cold steel bars, arrogance isn't a flex. It's a liability. You act too bold, and it'll get you hurt faster than weakness ever could. Within hours, whispers started sliding through the block like smoke. That's Ty's boy right there. The energy changed quick. Some inmates saw a chance to earn clout by breaking him down, while others saw unfinished business with the Harris name itself. Suddenly, King wasn't just another inmate. He was a symbol, a target, and a test all rolled into one. And once that word spread, there was no hiding who he was or where he came from. His last name became both his armor and his curse. Either way, the whole energy in that place shifted fast. King Harris wasn't just another inmate anymore. He became a symbol. Every move he made, every word he spoke was being watched, measured, and judged by eyes that didn't miss a thing. He wasn't just repping himself now. He was repping the entire Harris legacy. One wrong move, one slip of the tongue, and it wasn't just his reputation on the line. It was his whole family's name, and not even Atlanta's pride could protect him from what was coming. Soon enough, the whispers turned darker, heavier, the kind that make the air feel tense before anything even happens. Insiders say King found himself cornered, surrounded by real threats. Not over a quick fight in the showers or some petty argument, but over power. This was real danger. The kind that strips away all that fame and turns it into a bullseye. Every second started feeling like borrowed time, every stare like a warning. These weren't wannabes chasing clout or internet fame. These were men with real histories, real grudges, and nothing to lose. In that moment, King wasn't just facing his mistakes. He was facing a system that doesn't bend for celebrity blood, no matter how famous your last name might be. They weren't playing around this time. They wanted to send a real message, and it hit like ice straight to the chest. Fame won't save you here. Those words echoed in his head like a warning bell. Somebody even barked, "What the hell you gonna do now?" And that's when the panic finally kicked in for real. The bravado vanished instantly. The smirks, gone. That whole "I'm built for this" attitude he used to flex online, silent, fast. In that cold, echoing block, there was no audience, no camera to save face, no hype to lean on, just fear creeping in deeper with every second. Sources say that's when it hit King. He was way over his head. The same confidence that once made him stand tall now had him frozen in place, realizing this wasn't a show, this was survival. And as whispers started circling through the block again, word spread quick. Some crews weren't just planning to rough him up for respect. They had something darker in mind. The kind of threat that doesn't end with bruises, it ends with silence. They weren't just threatening him anymore, they were plotting to erase him completely. That's when the fear finally took over every inch of King Harris. Gone was the tough talk, gone was the act. This was real panic. He sprinted straight to the jail phones, voice trembling, begging for T.I. to step in fast. You could hear the desperation. He wasn't just calling for advice, he was crying out for rescue. He needed help immediately, praying someone on the outside could throw money, pull strings, anything to cool things down before it got ugly. But those checks his mouth had been writing online for months, yeah, they just bounced. Every reckless word, every threat, every flex had come back to collect, and now the price wasn't clout, it was his safety. For years, T.I. had been preaching the same thing to his son. This road don't end in glory, it ends in a cell or worse. But like most stubborn 20-year-olds, King didn't listen. He thought he was smarter, tougher, untouchable, like he had it all figured out. Remember that viral Falcons game in 2023? The one where father and son nearly turned the VIP suite into a full-on UFC cage match in front of everybody? That moment wasn't just a family argument, it was a warning sign, a public glimpse of a father trying to save his son before the streets or the system swallowed him whole.
You can't. You can't. I know you though. I know you. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me. You know I stand on business. You know I stand on business. Why you even letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting him play with me like that? Why you letting him play with me? No, ain't no joking. Ain't no joking. What do you mean?
You are embarrassing yourself and your family. You embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. Man, what is she talking about?
Get off me. Man, get off me.
Well, you can't do nothing with me. Ain't you can do with me.
Yeah, that moment at the Falcons game said everything about how chaotic their bond really was. King Harris was heated, shouting that he wasn't raised with privilege, claiming he grew up at his grandma's house, not in the cushy mansion that T.I. and Tiny called home. He was desperate to prove he was real, raw, and street. A man who earned respect from the trenches, not from fame. He wanted everyone to believe he was built for the struggle, even if it meant rewriting his own story in public. Meanwhile, T.I. just stood there, shaking his head in disbelief. This was a man who'd already lived the life King was romanticizing. A man who'd done federal time on gun charges, felt the cold weight of handcuffs, and heard those heavy steel doors slam shut for real. Watching his son try to glorify the same struggle he barely survived must have cut deep. I wasn't looking at a rebel. He was looking at a reflection of his own past, just younger, louder, and even more reckless. He knew exactly where that road led, and it wasn't to respect or glory. It was straight to pain, fear, and regret. The same danger King treated like a game was the very thing his father had fought his entire life to escape. And now, Ty was watching history repeat itself. Only this time, it was his own blood walking toward the fire. So when that desperate call came in from behind those bars, King's voice cracking, trembling, begging for help, the irony hit like a punch to the gut. This was the same kid who used to roll his eyes at every warning, brushing off his father's lessons like they didn't apply to him. But now, that same prideful voice was breaking, pleading with the very man he'd spent years trying to prove himself against. The sound of that fear, that realization, was louder than any argument they'd ever had. And T.I., he didn't rush to the internet this time. No dramatic rants, no angry "I told you so" captions, not even a single public word. Just silence, the kind that cuts deep, the kind that says everything without saying a thing. Because behind the scenes, it was chaos. Phones ringing, lawyers scrambling, family worried sick. All while T.I. sat in disbelief, watching the prophecy he'd been warning his son about unfold in real time. That silence wasn't cold. It was pain. The heavy kind only a parent feels when love and disappointment collide. Phones were ringing non-stop, tension thick in the air, lawyers were scrambling, backroom calls being made at all hours, and word around Atlanta was that even OGs from the city's underworld were getting tapped, not to stir up drama, but to keep things from turning deadly behind those walls. That's how serious it got. T.I. was reportedly pulling every string he had, burning through every favor, flipping through his old contacts like his son's life depended on it. Because it did. This wasn't just about saving a reckless kid who made a few bad choices. This was about protecting the Harris legacy itself. For T.I., this went way deeper than reputation or headlines. This was about redemption, a chance to rewrite a story that had been haunting him for years. He wasn't just fighting for King's safety, he was fighting to stop history from repeating itself. Because if there's one hard truth T.I. learned from his own past, it's this: fame doesn't make you untouchable. It just makes you a bigger target. And in that moment, T.I. realized that every lesson, every warning, every argument with his son had led up to this exact point. The moment where a father's love had to go to war with the consequences of his child's choices. Now everyone's asking the same haunting question. Was King Harris doomed from the start? Could anything have stopped this spiral? Or was this fate finally catching up to a name too heavy for one young man to carry? People online can't stop debating it, wondering if King ever really had a chance to escape the shadow of his last name. Drop your thoughts below, because this story isn't done. It's unfolding right before our eyes, and every new detail just keeps getting darker. Even though the internet loves to twist stories, these whispers are getting way too specific to ignore. Multiple blogs, hip-hop forums, and street insiders are all claiming the same chilling thing. King Harris's saga is far from over. Sources say the real danger inside those walls might have only just begun. Those crews he ran into weren't just trying to humble him or make a name off his downfall. They were trying to make a statement. Behind bars, power doesn't come from fame. It comes from fear. And according to those whispers, the message being sent to King was crystal clear. You might have fame out there, but in here, we run things. This wasn't about a fair fight or proving toughness. This was about reminding him exactly where he stood in a world where fame means nothing and respect means everything. These men weren't looking for a quick scuffle to test King's pride. Nah, they wanted to erase him completely. And the reason was cold but simple. In jail politics, taking down the son of a celebrity is like hitting the jackpot. It's instant clout, instant status. A one-way ticket to becoming a legend behind those walls. For some of those lifers, that kind of moment is power, the only kind of fame they'll ever get. And King just happened to walk straight into their game without realizing it. But here's where it gets even darker. Making an example out of King wasn't just about violence, it was about power. The kind of power no fame, no money, and no family name can buy. Inside, status isn't earned with songs or followers, it's earned through fear and respect, and once you lose either, you're done. And the craziest twist? According to whispers from the inside, it wasn't even just his last name that painted the target on his back. It was his own mouth. Word is, King had been talking slick to the older inmates, cracking jokes, bragging about money and fame like he was still the star of his own show. He didn't realize that kind of talk doesn't impress anyone behind bars. It provokes them. In a place where pride is everything, his arrogance was the spark that lit the fire. And once it started burning, there was no turning back. That is, until someone finally said it out loud, "That's T.I.'s boy." From that moment, everything flipped like a switch. The entire block's energy shifted instantly. The air got heavy, the tension so thick you could almost slice it. Overnight, King Harris stopped being just another loud young inmate trying to prove himself. He became a symbol, a walking billboard for every grudge ever held against the Harris name. Suddenly, every ounce of resentment toward fame, success, and privilege came crashing down on him at once. Every man inside who'd ever felt overlooked, disrespected, or forgotten by the music industry saw King as their chance to make a statement. And that statement was loud and dangerous. You're not special in here. King wasn't fighting for respect anymore, he was fighting for survival. Insiders say that's when T.I. hit full panic mode behind the scenes. This wasn't about bail money or legal loopholes anymore. This was about keeping his son alive long enough to even make it out. Calls were being made, favors being cashed in, and silent moves were happening fast. Because in that world, the one behind those steel bars, nothing's official, nothing's guaranteed, and the real deals don't happen on paper. They happen in whispers. Everything in that world is sealed through fear, silence, and favors. Nothing's written down, nothing's official. It's all about who you know and how fast you move. You don't know what the hell you're gonna do with that, one insider reportedly said, describing just how wild and dangerous things had gotten. This wasn't just messy, it was raw, ugly, and real. No PR team could clean it up, no lawyer could smooth it over. The cameras were gone, the spotlight was off, and for once, King Harris had to face the truth head on. He spent years chasing that real image, desperate to prove he wasn't some privileged kid riding his father's fame. But now, reality itself was ready to crush him, and the part that stung the most? King had just become a father himself in late 2024. Holding his baby boy, King Jr., was supposed to be the moment everything changed, his turning point. That was supposed to be the wake-up call that made him finally grow up, step up, and become the man he always bragged about being. But instead of breaking the cycle, that same toxic pattern came creeping right back, just like T.I. had always feared it would. The streets he tried to impress were now closing in, and the legacy he once flexed had turned into the very chain holding him down. Because those gangs inside, they're not waiting on King Harris's next mixtape. They're waiting on his next mistake. And in that world, one wrong move isn't just trouble. It's deadly. Behind those walls, there are no second chances, no safety nets, and no sympathy. Every look, every word, every step could decide whether you walk out or get written off. So the real question isn't just whether King can survive jail, it's whether he can survive himself. Because this isn't just a fight against inmates or enemies. It's a battle against the same destructive cycle that's been following him his whole life. Can he finally break free from it? Or will he end up as another headline, another sad story of fame, pride, and self-destruction. The world's watching closer than ever. Every new day brings fresh whispers, dangerous choices, and rising pressure, like a ticking time bomb just waiting to go off. People are holding their breath, waiting to see which version of King Harris shows up next. The man ready to change, or the boy still trying to prove he's untouchable? So tell me, what do you think happens next? And that's where it all comes to a head. The spotlight's gone, the noise has faded, and now it's just King Harris versus reality. The fame, the followers, the flex. None of it matters when the walls are closing in and the choices you made start echoing back at you. He's standing at that breaking point where one move could change everything or end everything. The world's watching this story unfold in real time, not through glossy interviews or staged photo ops, but through raw truth. Every whisper from behind those walls, every rumor that slips out, paints a darker picture than the one before. The question now isn't just what happens next, it's whether King learns, before it's too late, that legacy doesn't come from talking tough. It comes from living smarter. T.I. spent his whole career proving that you can rise out of the trap and rewrite your story, but watching his son flirt with the same danger hits different. It's not about fame anymore. It's about survival, redemption, and the hard truth that sometimes the biggest fight isn't against the world, it's against the reflection staring back at you. And one thing's for sure, this story isn't over. The saga of King Harris is still being written. One headline, one whisper, one decision at a time. If you've been following this roller coaster and want the real updates, the unfiltered talk, and the behind-the-scenes truths that the blogs water down, keep it locked right here on BarzBuzz. Because when the next chapter drops, you know we'll have the receipts, the reactions, and the rawest breakdowns in the game. Stay tuned. This story's just getting started. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdowns. So don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.